Hi, I'm Matthew. I've spent more than 10 years implementing and administering CMMS systems. And with hurricane season starting, I want to talk to you about something most maintenance teams do not think about until the weather gets ugly. Will your emergency information survive your emergency? Because a hurricane plan in a binder is helpful, right up until that binder is sitting in a flooded office. A clipboard full of storm inspections works great right until that clipboard blows away. And even if your information is digital, that does not necessarily mean that it is protected. If your CMMS is hosted on a server inside the organization and the organization loses power, network access, building access, or the server room itself, then we have a very important question. Who is safeguarding the data you need to recover? Today I'm talking about hurricanes because hurricane season is upon us, but this applies to almost any emergency. Floods, tornadoes, fires, winter storms, major power outages, earthquakes, or any event that suddenly turns ordinary maintenance into an urgent response and recovery. Your CMMS can do three very important things. It can help your team prepare for the next event. It can help capture and organize the work during the event. And it can give you the information you need to prepare better for the next one. Because emergency preparedness should not restart from scratch every time the weather report gets interesting. Let's start with what often happens in the real world. Most organizations have some sort of emergency plan. Maybe it's a binder, maybe it's a shared folder, maybe it's a spreadsheet that somebody updates once a year. Maybe it's a checklist that's been photocopied so many times it looks like it survived hurricane personally, like myself. And I'm not saying those things are worthless. A printed checklist can absolutely be useful. A binder can contain important procedures. You may even want paper copies as part of your backup strategy. But here's the problem. If your emergency plan, your assignments, your inspection history, and all your facility information are all sitting inside the building affected by the emergency, you may have protected the building better than you protected the information needed to recover the building. That's a problem. If your facilities team needs to know which generator was inspected, which fuel tanks were topped off, which roof drains were cleared, which locations reported flooding, or which repairs are only temporary, that information needs to be available even if the building is not. That brings us to the CMMS. Now, I want to be careful here. Not every CMMS is cloud-hosted software as a service, but many are. But some organizations still host their own CMMS internally on their own servers or within their own network. If your CMMS is cloud hosted, the application and data are generally maintained away from your facility. That can make the information available to authorized users even when the local building is closed, flooded, damaged, or without power. But if your CMMS is hosted internally, somebody needs to be able to answer some very direct questions. Where is that server? Where are the backups? Are those backups stored off-site? Has anyone tested restoring them? Can the system be accessed if the facility is evacuated? And is the backup sitting far enough away that it is not under the same storm warning as the server? Because we have it electronically is not the same thing as we have it protected. You cannot call it an emergency recovery plan if the plan itself needs rescuing. Your first job of your CMMS in emergency preparedness is not reporting, it's coordination. Before the storm, before the fire, before the flood, or before the power outage. Your CMMS should clearly show who is supposed to do what. Because when a storm is 3 days away, the maintenance manager should not be calling people one by one asking, did somebody test the generator? Did anybody clear the roof drains? Did we check the sump pumps? Who secured the exterior equipment? Did we have enough fuel? Did anybody photograph the vulnerable mechanical rooms before the storm? That work should already be assigned, tracked, and visible. This is where repeatable emergency preparedness work orders can make a huge difference. You might create work order templates for generator inspection and load testing, fuel level verification and refueling arrangements, roof drains and portable pumps, emergency lighting and battery systems, securing loose exterior equipment, flood barriers, shutters, or sandbags, critical spare parts and supply checks, pre-event photographs of vulnerable areas. And then you assign those tasks by facility, asset, trade, or responsible supervisor. Now you have visibility, not vague confidence. Not, I think Bob handles that. Not somebody who was supposed to check it. Visibility. And this matters because people follow the path of least resistance. If preparing for a storm requires somebody to remember a 20-step checklist in a stored binder, you're depending on memory during the exact moment when everybody is already overloaded. But if those tasks are in your CMMS, assigned to the right people, connected to the right assets, and visible to supervisors, then the process becomes much easier to execute. And let me say this clearly. I'm not trying to blame technicians or supervisors for anything that gets missed. If a critical hurricane preparation task is easy to overlook, that is usually a process problem. A good system makes the important work obvious. A bad system depends on somebody remembering everything under pressure. A hurricane plan where everybody kind of knows what they're responsible for is not a plan. That's a group project with wind damage. Now let's talk about what happens when the event actually starts affecting facilities. This is where most CMMS environments lose control of the story. Water intrusion gets entered as a regular plumbing request. A generator failure gets entered as routine corrective maintenance. A down sign gets entered as an exterior repair. A damaged rooftop unit gets entered in just like any other HVAC issue. The work may get done, but later when the leadership asks, what did the storm cost us? Or what failed during the event? Or where did we spend the most labor? The information is scattered across the system like debris in your parking lot. That's why I strongly recommend creating a second request page, portal option, or emergency request type specifically for the event. Not a complicated one, a simple one, something obvious, such as emergency event/storm damage request. The person reporting the issue should be able to choose from straightforward options as power loss, water intrusion or flooding, generator issue, roof or exterior damage, critical equipment failure, blocked access or debris, safety hazard, other emergency damage. Then, behind the scenes, the system should apply the appropriate coding. For example, if the event was the hurricane followed by the storm name and year, the work category is emergency response, the location is required. The priority was driven by the type of issue, and the asset was required where known. The important point is that the person reporting the damage should not need to know your entire coding structure. They should not need to say, is this a cause code, a failure code, a project code, or a work category? They just need an obvious place to report that storm damage happened here. And the CMMS should be able to do the heavy lifting from there. I would take it one step further and organize emergency work into 3 buckets. Preparedness. These are the tasks that you perform before the emergency. Response. This is the work that you did during or immediately after that emergency. Recovery. The repairs, restoration, contractor work, cleanup, replacement decisions, and long-term follow-up. That simple structure gives you a complete view of the event. What did we do before it happened? What broke or became unsafe? What did it take to restore operations? Years ago, I wrote about an example of this on a former employer's website involving a national chain that was affected by Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria. After Hurricane Harvey, the client needed a fast way to determine the condition of their affected locations. A structured site survey was created inside the CMMS. Each site answered questions about the conditions such as generators, parking lots, flooding, and critical equipment. Those survey responses generated work orders within the same day. Think about the difference that makes. Instead of somebody calling all the locations one by one, writing down damage reports, emailing spreadsheets, and manually entering work orders later, the information came through a structured process and created actionable work. And because that process existed, the organization was in a better position when Irma and Maria followed. That's the point. The emergency event should not be the first time you decide how emergency information will get entered into your CMMS. Build the path before you need it. Because if you label every hurricane related work order simply as repair, congratulations. 6 months later, your emergency report has become an archaeological dig. Once the event is over, this is where the CMMS becomes more than a place to store completed work orders. This is where it becomes a decision-making tool, because after the storm, the questions start coming. What locations had the most damage? Which assets failed? Which inspections were completed before the storm? Which repairs were temporary? How much labor did we use? Which parts or materials were consumed? What contractor services were needed? Where did the downtime occur? What failed more than once? And what should we have changed before the next event? Without structured emergency work orders, those questions are painful. Someone has to search descriptions, read notes, chase supervisors, review invoices, and try and rebuild the timeline manually. But if the preparedness work, response work, and recovery work were correctly classified from the beginning, you can actually tell the story. Maybe you discover that the same mechanical room has water intrusion every major storm. Maybe you discover that technicians spent 40 hours pumping water out of a loading dock that needs permanent drainage improvements. Maybe you discover that generators were tested, but the testing procedure never required documenting battery condition or fuel availability. Maybe you discover that your team handled the emergency beautifully, but your supply inventory was missing exactly the parts they needed. That information changes decisions. It can justify better emergency procedures, revised PM tasks, additional portable pumps, generator improvements, drainage upgrades, flood barriers, stocked spare parts, better contractor arrangements, capital replacements, or additional staff and training. This is where users start caring about the data, because the data finally affects decisions that make their lives easier. A technician is much more likely to enter useful information when they see that the last storm report resulted in a permanent fix instead of another year of carrying sandbags to the same doorway. Emergency preparedness should not reset to zero every season. The CMMS should help you remember what hurt last time, and it should help you do something about it before the next event tests the same weak spot again. Now I want to return to the issue where your information actually lives, because this is not a small technical detail. This is central to the entire conversation. If your CMMS is cloud hosted, your organization may have a major advantage to the emergency. The system and its data are not physically located inside the affected building. That means an authorized manager, supervisor, or coordinator may be able to access emergency work orders, asset records, photographs, procedures, and response information from another office, from home, or from another safe location. That matters. But cloud hosted does not mean magic. You still need to know who has access. Do they know how to log in remotely? Are the right mobile devices available? Are emergency documents attached where people can find them? Can site managers submit information through a request portal or mobile interface? A system that is available but nobody knows how to use during an emergency is only slightly better than the binder floating down the hallway. Now, if your CMMS is internally hosted, it does not mean you're automatically in trouble, but it does mean your organization owns a bigger part of the risk. Someone needs to be responsible for backups, offsite storage, restore testing, remote access, network continuity, server protection, and the documentation of the recovery process. And I would not settle for hearing IT as backups. That's not the end of the question. Where are they? How current are they? Have they been tested? Can the CMMS actually be restored? Can the people managing emergency maintenance access it when they need it? Because during a major emergency, your IT team is probably managing their own pile of urgent problems. You do not want to have the first discussion about your CMMS recovery to happen after the server room has taken on water. Where is the data? Who protects it? Can we access it? Here's what I want you to do this week. First, create one emergency event structure in your CMMS. That could be a dedicated emergency request page. It could be an emergency request type. It can be an event code. It could be a project or parent work order. Whatever your system supports, create a simple way to identify emergency related work before you need it. Second, create 5 preparedness work order templates for your most critical risks. Start with generator testing, drainage or pump inspection, roof and exterior inspection, emergency lighting or battery backup, securing exterior equipment and critical supplies. Third, ask the uncomfortable but necessary question. Where is our CMMS data? And will we be able to use it if this facility is affected by the emergency? And if you need help figuring out how to structure this in your CMMS, whether that is your emergency preparedness work orders, your emergency request page, your event coding, your reporting, or simply evaluating whether your current process would actually hold up during an emergency, reach out to me. My contact information is in the description below. I've spent years helping organizations get more value out of their CMMS. And sometimes that starts with a very simple question. What information will your team wish they had when normal operations stop being normal? Because this is not about building a perfect system. It's about building a system that is useful on the day your team needs it most. Hurricane season is a great reminder, but this is bigger than hurricanes. Floods, tornadoes, fires, power outages, winter storms, earthquakes, whatever emergency your facility may face, your team is going to need clear assignments, accessible information, and reliable records of what happened. A binder can be destroyed. A clipboard can disappear. A local server can fail. But a properly protected and properly configured CMMS can help your team prepare clearly, respond faster, and recover smarter. So take a look at your system this week and ask, if an emergency happened tomorrow, would our CMMS help us manage it, or would it just be another thing that we're trying to find? Tell me in the comments, is your emergency preparedness process already inside your CMMS, or is it still living somewhere else? Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and take a look at this video here. Here, where we talk about how your CMMS loses value when the work is happening, but the information is not being captured correctly. I'm Matthew, and this is the SaaSy Guy, where every work order tells a story.